learners, I hope you all are safe and doing well. For the students preparing for NET JRF, I know the date hasn't been announced of the exam by the UGC, but I hope you all are preparing and haven't put your study on hold, because this time you have got enough time to cover all those topics which you usually leave due to lack of time. In the last lecture, we have covered the basics of financial system. Now moving forward to that topic, we will cover components of financial system in this lecture. Components of financial system in the NET JRF exam, there is always, I have noticed, one question comes from this portion, which is quite easy, but because we haven't studied, we haven't covered the basics, we usually leave it or get it wrong. This video will help you to cover your basics, and I have also tried to make it as simple as I could so that you could easily understand and you do not face any difficulty. So let's start. Components of financial system. The financial system consists of four parts, mainly as financial institution, financial markets, financial instruments, and financial services. In this video, we will cover the financial instrument and financial services. Now, starting with financial instrument. Financial instrument or assets, these are the instruments or the source with the help of which the short-term funds are raised by the investors from the savers in the financial markets. They do not have any physical form. Now you must be wondering, if they do not have any physical form, then how their values are determined. These financial assets derive their value from a contractual claim on an underlying asset, and this underlying asset could be either real or intangible. Examples of these financial assets are cash, bank deposits, stocks, marketable securities, bonds, mutual funds, etc. Most of the assets are categorized in three forms: real, financial, and intangible assets. Real assets are those assets which have a physical substance, That means which can be seen or touched, like land, building, real estate, commodities like wheat, oil, etc. These could be seen and touched. Talking about intangible asset, this is just opposite the real asset because it does not have any physical substance. But these are equally valuable like any other property. For example, patent, trademark, and intellectual property. Now coming to financial assets, this come in between of these two. Financial assets are those assets which do not have any physical substance, just like intangible assets, but their value are listed on a piece of paper or a listing on a computer screen. Now, you know what this listing represent, or these paper represent? This represent a claim of an ownership or of an entity, like a public company, or a contractual rights to payment, for example interest income from a bond. Let's understand it with the help of an example. For example, stocks are financial assets. When an investor buys a stock of a particular company, it becomes a part owner of that company and gets to share the profit and loss of that company. Now, stocks do not have a physical form. They are represented with the help of an paper. Now you see the value of these paper. This piece of a paper represents claim of ownership in a particular company. Let's take another example. Bonds. When you purchase a bonds, you get to earn interest on that bonds as a payment. The bonds are also represented on a piece of paper. Now this paper represent a claim of contractual payment which we will get in future. So now you see the value of these papers. These papers are not just a piece of paper, even though they are not in physical form, but they are not less than any other kind of assets. Coming to this point, it derives its value from a claim of ownership of an entity or a contractual rights to future payment from an entity. In my first example of stocks, what does stocks represent? The stock represent a claim of ownership of an entity. What is the value of that stock? What is the value of this financial asset? The value is that you get to become a owner of a company with the help of that piece of paper. In my second example of bonds, that are also a piece of paper. But what are the value of that bond? What are the value of that financial asset? The value is that you gets to have a certain amount of future payment from an entity. Now, there are various kinds of financial instruments are available in the market, which the credit seekers acquire depending on their requirements and needs. Starting with that, the first one is call money, which is also known as money at call. When a loan is granted for just one day and is repaid on the second day, that means next working day, these are called call money. The intervening holidays and Sundays are excluded, and to avail this kind of loan, no collateral securities are required. It is basically used by the banks, where the banks lend to each other in order to maintain a cash reserve ratio. Now, what is cash reserve ratio? Cash reserve ratio is a minimum reserve of cash which any commercial bank has to maintain according to the guidelines of RBI. The interest which are paid on these call money are called call rate. Call rate. Now, coming to the next, notice money. Okay, before moving to that, I want to make one thing clear, that the call money, notice money and term money, these all are used by the banks to lend to each other in order to maintain cash reserve ratio. The maturity period of these instruments differ from each other. That's why the banks could lend for any period of time depending on the term of these maturity period. Coming to the notice money, when a loan is granted for more than one day and up to 14 days, that is called notice money. In the in the call money, the loan was granted for just one day. But when you require a loan for more than one day but up to 14 days, then you can opt for notice money. uh, Other things are all the same in all these three instruments, that is no collateral securities are required to cover this kind of transaction, just like call money, and it is same in the case of term money too. Now, what is term money? The only thing differ is that maturity period of these instruments, that is when you require a loan for more than 14 days, you can opt for term money. Term money is used to avail a loan with the maturity period of beyond 14 days. For example, a bank requires a loan for 10 days. Now, it could not opt for call money because it only offers loan for just one day and you have to repay it back on the next working day. Now, coming to term money, you cannot avail this too because it provide a loan for beyond 14 days. Now, you need a loan for 10 days. Now, what would you avail? You would avail notice money because the maturity period lies between 1 day to 14 days, and you require a loan for 10 days, which comes in between of this period. So you can opt for notice money. This is how does it work. Coming to the next, I hope these three are clear. Let's take a look again. Call money when you require a loan for just one day. The maturity period of call money is just one day. In the notice money, the maturity period lies from one day up to 14 days. And in terms money, it is beyond 14 days. Treasury bills, which are also known as T bills. These are government's bonds or debt securities which maturity of less than a year. Now your maturity period is less than a year. We have learned call money whose maturity period is one day. We have learned notice money whose maturity period is more than one day but up to 14 days. And we have also studied term money whose maturity period is beyond 14 days. Now coming to treasury bill, its maturity period is less than a year. And these are the government's bonds and securities which are issued by the RBI on behalf of the government to raise short term funds. The minimum amount for to avail these treasury bills is 25,000, and these bills are issued at a discount, and on maturity the par value is being paid. For example, a bill was issued whose face value was 100, but it was issued for rupees 95 to the holder. But on the maturity date, the holder will get to have 100 rupees. The difference between 100 and 95, this is called discount. Based on the maturity period of these bills, there are three kind of bills are offered by the RBI, that are 91 days, 182 days and 364 days. Now 364 days, why does it especially mentioned as 364 days? You have seen that when it comes to short term securities, we usually use the term less than a year. Now what does less than a year mean? It means 364 days, because we know there are 365 days in a year, but less than a year means 364 days. So if a question arises, what does less than a year means, or how many days represent or mean less than a year, now you know which option to pick. That is 364 days. Next one is certificate of deposits. These are the time deposit which offer a fixed rate of interest and are issued for a specific period of time by banks and other eligible financial institutions. These differ from the saving accounts, because when it comes to saving account, in case of need you can easily withdraw your money at any time, but when it comes to certificate of deposit, you cannot cash it before its due date. That's why it is different from the saving accounts. Now coming to maturity period, the maturity period is different for banks and for financial institution. When it comes to bank, the maturity period lies between a minimum of 7 days up to 1 year. But when it comes to financial institution, the maturity period ranges between 1 to 3 years. So you have to keep it in mind that the maturity period is different for banks and it is different for financial institution. Just like T-bills, these are also issued at a discount rate. That means um, on maturity, the par value will be paid to the holder. The interest rate on CD is issued by organization or financial institution usually offer higher interest rate than any commercial banks. When it comes to think about it feature, it sounds almost similar to the fixed deposit, and I am sure many of you must have thought that I'm talking about fixed deposit, but let me tell you, this is not a fixed deposit. It is different from the fixed deposit, which I will clear in the next slide. With the help of this diagram, the differences between the certificate of deposit and fixed deposit will be made clear to you. First one is minimum investment amount. The minimum investment amount required in case of certificate of deposit is rupees 1 lakh, whereas in case of fixed deposit it is rupees 1000. Next is return on investment. That also means interest rates. Certificate of deposit issued by the organization or financial institution usually offer higher interest rate than any fixed deposits. Next is investment horizon. That means maturity period. As we know, certificate of deposit is a short term instrument, whereas fixed deposit is a long term instrument. So the maturity period also differ from each other. In case of certificate of deposit, the maturity period is less than a year, and in case of fixed deposit, it lies between 3 to 10 years. Next is collateral for loan. A loan cannot be taken against certificate of deposit, but in case of fixed deposit, anyone can take loan by keeping fixed deposit as a collateral securities. And also there is one more point which was not given in this diagram, so I have written it separately. That is, certificate of deposits are negotiable and tradable, whereas fixed deposits, these are not negotiable instruments. The last one is commercial papers. It is an unsecured short-term instrument issued by the corporations to raise funds to meet working capital requirements such as payroll, account payable and inventories, etc. These are issued in the form of an promissory note as an evidence of the debt obligation of the issuer. It is also known as finance paper, industrial paper, or corporate paper. The maturity period of commercial paper are a minimum of 7 days and a maximum of up to 1 year. And as same as T-bills and certificate of deposit, it is also issued at a discount rate to face value, which is freely determined by the market forces, that means demand and supply in the market. So these were the financial instruments which are offered to raise short-term funds in the financial market. I have provided a summary of these financial instruments so that it will be easy for you to remember, especially the maturity period. Starting from call money, the maturity period is 1 day, where a loan is granted just for 1 day and has to be repaid on the next working days. In case of notice money, the maturity period is more than 1 day and up to 14 days, whereas in term money, it is beyond 14 days. And in case of treasury bills, it is less than a year and is issued on discount, and on maturity, the par value is being paid to the holder. And in case of certificate of deposit, the maturity period is different for banks and for financial institutions, where in case of banks it is a period of 1 year, and in case of financial institution it is 1 to 3 years. And the last one is commercial paper, where the maturity period is of a minimum of 7 days and up to 1 year. And also one thing, these three, call money, notice money, and term money, these are used by banks to lend money to each other in order to maintain the cash reserve ratio. And treasury bills and certificate of deposit, these are issued by banks and financial institutions. But commercial paper, these are issued by corporation to meet the working capital requirement. I hope the differences has been cleared between each of these instruments. Moving on to the next component, that are financial services. What are financial services? Till now we have learned about the financial instrument or assets which are used to raise short-term funds in the financial market. But the question is how it is actually takes place or how it is actually being done. With the help of financial services which are offered by various banks, financial institutions, or specialized brokers in the financial market, it is being made possible. Financial services basically deal with the management of money in the financial market. It facilitates the transaction, that means exchange of goods and services in the economy, along with that movement of funds from one place to another, that is mobilizing savings from the savers to the borrowers. There are various kind of services which are offered by these kind of entities in the market, which are as follows. The first one is banking services. Banking services, we all are aware about these services which are offered by the banks, such as granting of loan, depositing money, withdrawal of money, opening account, issue of debit and credit card, use of ATM, and making EFT between banks, and also internet banking, which are very prominent in the market these days. These kind of services are known as banking services. The next is insurance services. Insurance services are those services which are offered by the insurance company to their customers, and these services are basically offered with a view to provide a protection against death or injuries, such as life insurance, health insurance, or against any property loss or damage, or against liability or lawsuits such as car insurance, fire insurance, etc. These are the services which are provided by the insurance company to their clients, such as issuing of insurance, selling policies, insurance undertaking, insurance brokerage, and reinsurance. Insurance brokerage, here what it actually does, here the brokers actually does the shopping of policies on behalf of their customers. Moving on to the next, that are investment services. Investment services are those services which are offered by various entities to assist an individual to make an investment in the financial markets, such as brokers. Brokers are those who buy and sell securities on behalf of their clients in return of a certain amount of commission. Next is collective investment fund. Collective means where more than one person is involved. So a fund that acts as an investment pool, so investors can put money into a fund that will reinvest it into a variety of securities based upon their common outlined investment goal. Next is investment advisory offices, which are run by a registered investment advisor. What they do, they advises their clients in financial planning and also invest their money. And next is hedge funds, mutual funds, and investment partnership. They invest money in the financial market on behalf of their customers and collect management fees in return from them. The next is advisory services. They provide advices to their clients regarding the financial planning. Along with that, they also work as a broker and facilitate the buying and selling of securities on behalf of their customers. The last one is custody services. These are known as safekeeping services, where a brokerage or financial institutions hold securities on behalf of their customers in order to reduce the risk of their clients losing his or her assets or having them stolen. It basically provides a place to store assets with little risk. In return of a certain amount of fee, they also collects dividends, interest, and proceeds from security sales and disperse the funds according to the instruction of their clients. And the last one, which comes under the purview of financial services, are foreign exchange services. As the name suggests, it refers to the exchange of funds between two countries. These kind of services, such as currency exchange, where a client could convert the currency of one country into the currency of another. Next is wire transfer. Wire transfer, where a client can send funds to international banks abroad. For example, you are in US and your mother is in India who is in need of 1 lakh rupees immediately. In this case, with the help of wire transfer, you can transfer money from your account to your mother account while being in abroad. The last one is remittance, where clients that are migrant workers send money back to their home country. For example, you must have heard many workers going to Dubai to earn money. So with the help of remittance, they could transfer that earning to their home country, to their beloved. So that was all for today. In the next lecture, we will cover the remaining two components of financial system. Thank you for watching the video. If you have found this video informative, please like, comment, and subscribe our channel.